So you've heard the promise, right? You type a single sentence, and bam, a fully functional app pops out. That's the dream of AI app builders like Lovable. But as a lot of us are discovering, there's a huge gap between that magic trick and actually mastering the thing. So how do you cross that chasm? Well, that's what we're going to dig into today.
Yeah, this is what people are calling vibe coding. You just describe the feeling, the function, and poof, an app appears. And look, it's an amazing idea, for sure. But here's the catch. To make that idea actually work, you gotta learn to speak the AI's language.
And that brings us to the number one most important lesson that every single power user learns, usually the hard way. And it's this. The entire fate of your project, I mean everything, can be decided by your very first prompt. Think about it like building a house. If your foundation is cracked or crooked, everything you build on top of it is just gonna be a mess, right? It's the exact same thing here. The community is totally united on this one point. Projects that just spiral out of control into a confusing disaster, they almost always started with a really vague, lazy first prompt. I love this analogy from a user who's clearly been through it. It's like that atomic habits idea. If you start just 1 degree off course, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But by the time you're on prompt number 100, you're not just a little off. You're a mile away from where you wanted to be. It's that compounding effect. Okay, so what does a good start actually look like versus a bad one? Well, look at this. On the left, you've got this super vague prompt. Make a login system. I mean, that's just asking for trouble, right? The AI has to guess everything. But now look at the one on the right. It's a proper blueprint. It says exactly what kind of app it is, what framework to use, what service for authentication. It even asks the AI to create a plan first. That clarity, that's everything. All right, so you've nailed that first prompt. Awesome. But now what? How do you keep that momentum going and build like a pro? Turns out there's a playbook. There are a few key habits that really separate the people who succeed from the ones who just get stuck going in circles. Here they are, the power users, they all swear by this stuff. First up, they plan out the entire user journey before they even think about writing a prompt. Next, they use something called a knowledge base to give the AI some rules to follow. For small specific fixes, they use the precision tool. It's like being a surgeon instead of using a sledgehammer. And this one's huge. For tiny little text changes, they just do it themselves. Why? To save those precious credits. Okay, let's zoom in on that knowledge base for a second, because this thing is a total game changer according to users. The best way to think of it is like giving your project its own permanent brain. You feed it all your rules, stuff like all my buttons have to be this specific shade of blue, or we are always using Superbase for authentication. What this does is it basically cures the AI of its terrible short-term memory. It keeps everything consistent so you don't have to repeat yourself 1,000 times. And what's cool is that as you get better, the way you prompt is going to change. You'll start with what we can call the training wheels method, that super structured prompt we saw before. Then you'll move on to just having a more normal conversation with it. But then you get to the really good stuff. Level 3 is meta prompting, where you actually ask the AI to critique and improve your prompts for you. And the final boss level, reverse meta prompting. This is where, after you've spent an hour fixing a nasty bug by hand, you ask the AI to write the perfect prompt that would have stopped that bug from ever happening. It's like learning from your own mistakes, but with an AI assistant. Now we've got to talk about money. Well, not real money, but Lovable's currency, credits. And as you can see from this table, it's not all equal. Simple little tasks are cheap, but big, complex stuff like generating a whole new page from scratch, that's going to cost you a lot more. And understanding this little economy is so important because it changes your job. You're not just a creator anymore, you're also a project manager, deciding where to spend your budget for the biggest bang for your buck. And here's a little pro tip for you, something the docs don't always scream from the rooftops. Not everything costs credits. That little try to fix button, free. Publishing your app? Free. Just hopping into chat mode to brainstorm ideas? Totally free. Using these free tools isn't just about being cheap, it's about being smart. It's a core strategy for building efficiently. All right, let's go there. Let's talk about the place where good projects go to die. We're heading into the tricky, treacherous world of the backend and, of course, the bugs that come with it. So when things inevitably break, what do? How do you debug without pulling your hair out? The community has a pretty solid playbook. Step 1, always, is to hit that free try to fix button. If that doesn't work, copy the entire ugly error message and paste it right into chat mode.
If it's a visual bug, something looks weird on the screen, a screenshot is worth 1,000 words. And finally, if you dive in and fix the code yourself, make sure you paste your fix back into the chat so the AI knows what you did. Keep it in the loop.
In this user quote right here, it hits on the single biggest roadblock people face. It's when you try to connect to other complex services, like Superbase for handling user logins or Stripe for taking payments. This isn't just another step, it's a giant leap in complexity. And like this user warns, it's the #1 cause of what they call the project death spiral.
So why is this stuff so hard? Well, because you're dealing with really sensitive things, right? Protected user data, security, permissions, all that jazz. The AI can't just figure all that out from one simple sentence. This is where you need to have a really clear picture of what you're building and be ready to go one step at a time, debugging as you go. Look, it's a challenge, for sure, but it's not impossible if you know what you're getting into. In all of this, really, it all comes down to one final, really important takeaway for using these new tools successfully. It's all about a mindset shift. You have to stop thinking of the AI as a magician who can read your mind and start thinking of it as an incredibly powerful but literal collaborator. If you want to get frustrated, it's easy. Just have a vague idea and expect the AI to magically build it perfectly. But if you want to actually succeed, you need a clear plan. You need to give specific instructions. And you have to be willing to work with the AI to go back and forth and make things better. That right there is the difference between just wishing you had an app and actually building one. This user just nails it. They say Lovable is powerful, but it's not magic. And the more you plan, the better your prompts get. And the more you just play around with it, the easier the whole thing becomes. The real power isn't just the AI. It's the AI plus you, a user who is prepared and willing to experiment. Plan, prompt, and play. That's the secret sauce. So, as these amazing tools completely change the game for creators, we're all left with a question, right? Are we going to sit around waiting for a true magic wand that can somehow read our minds? Or are we going to roll up our sleeves and learn how to master this crazy new kind of power tool? I think the future of how we build things really hangs on that answer.